Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing Torghast, one of our latest game mode additions to the world of mini-games that World of Warcraft is swiftly becoming. But Torghast is quite a cool roguelike-esque feature. It's going to be having quite a big impact on your endgame play. As you level up from 50 to 60 in the Shadowlands zones, you'll start to unlock Torghast and you'll start to kind of hint at its existence and whatnot. And as you get to level 60, you go through a quest chain that will eventually arrive you to having to go through Torghast quite a few times. Now, there is a breakdown of how Torghast is actually going to be functioning. It's not just a case of jumping in and just going through endless layers. It is quite a bit more systematic than that. So, first off, we have the map here, which has 6 different wings, plus the addition of the twisting corridors down at the bottom of the map. Each of these wings then has 8 layers attached to it. So each wing you'll be able to do, there'll be 8 separate layers attached to it, and then within each layer there are 6 floors. So basically how this ends up playing out is, you enter Torghast, you go floor by floor, you complete your 6 floors, and that 6th floor has a mini-boss. You kill that mini-boss, you get your Soul Ash, which is used to craft legendaries. It's the currency for crafting legendaries. And then you're done. You then can go into the next layer and the next layer after that. Each of those layers will have 6 floors. You will have 2 of these wings unlocked each week. So instead of having all 6 to do, you will have 2 specific wings. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the specifics in terms of, are you going to need to do all 8 layers of 2 wings each week, and each one having 6 levels? That amounts to, let me run the numbers. Yeah, that amounts to a number of Torghast runs each week, and especially if you have ults, that could end up being quite stressful to do. The good thing is, however, is that Blizzard are making it so each time, or like once a layer is completed and you've finished that layer and you've defeated that last boss, then it acts as like a checkpoint or a save point. So next time you come to do Torghast, you've already, say you got to layer 6. Right? Well, next time you come to Torghast, you're not going to have to do layer 1 to 6. You can just jump straight in at layer 6 and then just do that final couple layers, right? But you'll still gain the total amount of Soul Ash that's collated or coalesced from the previous layers. So even though you didn't do layer 1 to 5 and you just jumped in straight at layer 6, you'll still get each layer's individual Soul Ash amount. So this means that if you're playing on ults, if you're playing on your main, as you're doing Torghast, it'll get quicker and quicker to unlock, or hopefully that's kind of the design implemented. So that's quite good in terms of how Torghast is actually going to be playing out. There are also going to be a lot of cosmetics involved with Torghast, so like I imagine there'll be things like mounts and toys and pets and transmog gear and all that kind of thing, kind of like how Island Expeditions worked in BFA. They'll probably lock similar loot behind Torghast, and it'll probably function in that similar manner. But also, so really the way that you're going to unlock that is in the Twisting Corridors, which is 18 floors, and it's combined of 3 different wings. So each wing has like a different visual aesthetic to it. Some might be lava-based, some might be like this whole type system and whatnot. And that's like the Twisting Corridors, from what I know, is going to be like a purely cosmetic thing. It's not going to give you any like Soul Ash or anything like that. It's just going to be purely because you want to go in, you want to do some Torghast, and you want to unlock some cosmetics. I know I personally on stream, twitch.tv/cybeslat, I know that I am definitely going to be running a lot of these viewer Torghast runs. People might be on like their item level 420 equivalent ult, and they're like, oh man, I just can't get through Torghast, I need some help, can you help me out? Bada bing, bada boom, don't worry. Let's get a group of 5 players, let's run through Torghast and have a blast with it. But let's actually break down the actual gameplay of Torghast. What does it mean once you actually get inside? How are the interactions? How are the runs? How are the layers? So these are like generated layers, right? Or randomly generated layers. I think they have some kind of on-rail feature, so it's not just going to be completely nonsensical. And so far it seems like, having played Torghast, even though each level is unique, you pretty much get down into a rhythm of, you have one path which will lead, like you'll follow a route and then eventually it'll kind of diverge and it seems to normally diverge into like two different directions. One will take you to the next level, like the end of level boss, and you'll kind of go on to the next level. The other route will take you to like a rare or a chest or something, some kind of like mini game event, some like additional quest helper guy that needs you to do a little special mission for him. And then by completing that, you get extra anima powers. These anima powers are basically just beneficial abilities and little, like, cute little interactions with your base toolkit. And they can be defensive, utility-based, they can be, you know, heals, they can be damage benefits. So sometimes they even have, like, a kiss curse. So sometimes you'll gain things like some big primary stat buff. So they'll give you, like, 15% increased agility, but you can no longer jump, right? So you have to weigh up, like, how much do I want to be able to jump? At least if you can't jump, you won't find yourself jumping off the edge, at least, so you're less likely to have unwanted deaths there. Speaking of deaths, actually, you're allowed 5 deaths, and I believe that's in totality. You can, from vendors, buy additional, like, lives, but in general, you have, like, 5 deaths, and then I'm unsure if it actually just cuts you off, or if you still have the big baddie who will follow you through the level and come and try and kill you now that you've ran out of deaths. So you want to be very careful about not dying too much. I know I actually died. Like, the most dangerous thing so far for me in Torghast has been falling off of the edge. Once you're actually inside, the enemy powers, even if you get a bad run, they quickly outweigh kind of the enemy mobs. But I'm sure as you go up in higher and higher layers, then they will get more and more difficult, which would be very interesting, and I think that's how Blizzard should kind of do it. It seems like they don't want you to be trapped in Torghast forever. They want you to kind of jump in, get it completed reasonably quickly, jump back out again, and it seems to be reasonably ult-friendly, I imagine. But yeah, in terms of like some of these anima powers, I mean, I've had a lot of fun as a feral druid, like running through. Because we're a hybrid class, we get a lot of intermixed things from like benefits from Boomkin, benefits from Resto, benefits from Bear. So you have some really cool like bark skin, entangling roots, like moonfire interactions. So it's really cool, really interesting how being like the full druid toolkit kind of comes into play. And I've been having some fun experimenting with some of these. Like, I think that they are going to be quite enjoyable, quite relaxed content. I don't see them being... I'd like for them to be more difficult in parts. It definitely felt like things were just pretty samey. Like, it just felt like no matter what wing, no matter what layer, no matter what floor, things were just kind of too easy. And I was able to just pull everything and just burst it down. You get so many anima powers so quickly that you very rapidly amount to just overpowering any of the content. I would like for it to be a little bit more difficult, feel like I was actually scaling a tower of some kind of complexity and difficulty, and it was getting ever increasingly more difficult. A couple other suggestions that I thought were really cool were based on Diablo, and I know if many of you have played that, then you'll know the goblin levels, where suddenly you don't just be going through the layer as normal, and then suddenly a goblin appears, and you chase that goblin down, and you pummel it into the ground, and suddenly a portal spawns, and it'll take you into a realm where you're just surrounded by goblins, and they drop gold and gems and like all kinds of materials that you can then use elsewhere in the game. So it would be really cool to see some kind of like goblin level or something, or like you get taken to like the secret cow level or something, or like anything that could be WoW based. Like it could take you to like Elwyn Forest, and there's like, I don't know, some like event there or something, and there's like some mini boss or something, and you have to kill it, and it gets you some kind of like rare mount or some transmog. Or I was thinking with like the goblin level, you could have in Diablo, you have like different, you have like a blood goblin, you have a gold goblin, and like you have different types of goblins. You could do like a herbalism goblin room, so like you kill a goblin and then like it drops a bunch of like herbalism materials, or drops a bunch of like minerals or something like that, or skins, and you could jump onto a level, and maybe it's like a gold level, and you make like 10k gold from this level, and it's like a huge amount to make in a short period of time, but rare enough that it doesn't become like a farming method, and rare enough that it doesn't become like, you know, just super overpowered, and you get gold cap in a week from doing it or something. But it could just be like fun, like vanity items and things like that, where it just kind of reduces that monotony of just like kind of mindlessly running Torghast, as it will eventually become, kind of like how Horrific Visions have become. But let me know in the comments below what kind of things you have in store for for Torghast. If you have any crazy kooky builds that happen to be like fitting with your spec, or if you have any cool ideas for what Torghast could be, how Blizzard could expand this idea as we go through the expansion, and how they could make this like more fun, more engaging, more complex, more rewarding, whatever it may be, let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you want to see me actually live running Torghast and experimenting with some of these builds, check me out at twitch.tv/cybeslat, and I will see you there for your weekly Torghast no levers. Alrighty, see you in the next one.